My family used me until I was no longer useful, but I got justice silently. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. The fraud case update lands at 6:12 a.m., right between two of my mom's texts. Credit union notice. Temporary hold placed on accounts pending investigation. My phone buzzes again. Diane, can you drive Mark to the DMV today? He's stressed. Another buzz. Tessa, I'm short on rent. Just spot me until Friday. I stare at the notification like it's a mirror. I'm 33. I work hospital admin, scheduling, authorizations, the invisible glue that keeps other people's crises from spilling into the hallway. My family treats me the same way. If something breaks, they call Charles. If something costs, they call Charles. If something feels hard, they call Charles. The hold isn't on their accounts. It's on mine. I sit on the edge of my couch in my one-bedroom, the radiator clicking like it's counting down. Outside, the city is still dark. Inside, my thumb hovers over call. Not to yell, not to accuse, just to confirm what I already know. Because this isn't the first time money vanishes in my family like it's a magic trick. It's just the first time the magic reaches into my life and grabs my future by the throat. At work later, in the break room, my coworker asks why I'm quiet. I lie and say, just tired. I watch the coffee drip, slow and steady, and I decide something. I'm done playing detective with feelings. I'm going to follow paper. My phone buzzes again. Diane, don't forget Aunt's meds pickup after work, okay? I type sure out of muscle memory, then delete it. My fingers feel like they belong to someone else. I open the credit union app and see a new line item I don't recognize, dated 2 days ago, for $4,800. And the note says, transfer authorized by account holder. I whisper to the empty room, that wasn't me. Then a final notification appears, colder than the first. Fraud intake call scheduled, attendance required. The calendar invite says 3 p.m. The exact hour Diane always checks on me. Then my phone rings, and my mother's name fills the screen. I become reliable, the way you become the oldest spoon in the drawer, used until the shine is gone. When I'm 16, Diane starts working nights, and the house runs on my alarm clock. I pack Mark's lunch. I sign Tessa's permission slips. I learn how to talk to utility companies without sounding like a kid. Diane calls it helping. I call it love, because love is the only word I have. The first time I understand the deal, I'm 19 and home from community college for winter break. Diane meets me at the door with that tight smile that means she's already decided. Charles, baby, can you cover the electric? Just this month. How much? $200. I'll pay you back after taxes. I hand over my debit card. I don't ask why her nails are freshly done. A week later, I find a sticky note on the fridge. Charles, pick up Tessa from work, then Mark from practice. No please. No thanks. Just a list, like I'm the family calendar with legs. When I finally get my hospital job, steady pay, decent benefits, Diane hugs me hard and says, now we can breathe. She doesn't mean me. She means them. The requests multiply with my paycheck. Can you co-sign? Can you float me? Can you talk to the landlord? And when I hesitate, Diane's voice turns soft and syrupy. After all I've done, you're really going to let your brother struggle? Mark, meanwhile, learns a new hobby, mocking my boundaries. Oh, look, he says one Sunday, kicking his shoes off in my apartment like he owns it. Captain Responsible is tired. Tessa laughs, leaning into my couch cushions. Don't be dramatic. You're good at fixing stuff. I smile because it's easier than explaining that being good at fixing is how you end up with nothing left of yourself. By the time I'm 30, my family doesn't ask if I can help. They ask how fast. And the day I stop answering, they treat it like betrayal, not exhaustion. I don't see the trap yet, because I still think the worst they can take is money. I'm wrong about that, and I'm about to find out why. If my life has a soundtrack, it's the vibration of a group chat titled Family. Monday, Diane, can you pick up my prescription? The pharmacy line is insane. Tuesday, Tessa, my sitter canceled. Can you watch Milo for 2 hours? Wednesday, Mark, I need gas money. Don't be weird about it. I do it all between hospital calls and insurance denials. I'm the guy who knows which forms to fax, which number to press, which smile to use when someone is trying to make their problem your fault. At first, it's little things. $20 here, a ride there. Then it becomes temporary help that never ends. On March 14th, 2025, Tessa calls me crying from a parking lot. Charles, I'm going to get evicted. I swear I'm not irresponsible. I just miscalculated. How much? 800. I'm on my lunch break, eating a sad sandwich in my car. I open my banking app, feel my chest tighten, and send it anyway. Okay, I say. But this is a loan. I know, she sniffles. I'll pay you back Friday. Pinky promise. Mark hears about it and texts me an hour later. If you're handing out money, I'm in line too. I reply, not funny. He replies, it is a little funny. Diane plays referee with guilt. Your sister is trying, Charles. Don't keep score. I'm not keeping score, I say, even as I start writing amounts in my notes app like I'm tracking leaks in a sinking boat. By summer, my notes app looks like a spreadsheet of love. Rent, groceries, cell phone bill, a car repair that can't wait, a dentist visit Mark forgot to schedule. Each one comes with a story. Each one ends with me paying. One night, I asked Diane, why does it always come to me? She pauses, like I've asked a rude question at church. Because you're the strong one, she says. And families lean on the strong. I stare at my kitchen table, at the stack of unopened mail I'm too tired to sort, and I realize something. Strong is just another word for convenient. And convenient people don't get thanked, they get drained. Then I find an envelope from a lender I've never heard of. The envelope says, Final Notice, in red that looks embarrassed to be so loud. Inside is a payment demand for $412.73, due in 3 days, for a personal loan opened under my name. There's a partial account number and an address that isn't mine, Diane's suburb, the house I grew up in. I laugh once, sharp and stupid, like the universe told a joke and forgot the punchline. At work, I pull my credit report between calls. The hospital break room smells like microwave fish and burnt coffee. My hands shake anyway. There it is, Bright Path Lending. Opened February 2nd, 2026. Balance, $9,700. Status, past due. I scroll, hoping it's a glitch, the way you hope a bruise is just bad lighting. Then I see the hard inquiry, the phone number attached, and the confirmation email that ends in my last name, but isn't my email. I take screenshots. I save PDFs. I don't breathe right for a full minute. I text Diane a single question. Did you open anything in my name? She replies fast, which is its own kind of answer. Why would you say that? I type, because I got a loan notice. 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Finally, I don't know what you're talking about. Mark handles the mail sometimes. I can almost hear her shrug through the screen. Like my identity is a misplaced grocery receipt. That night, I drive to Diane's house under the excuse of dropping off her meds. The porch light is on. The door is unlocked like it always is, because in our family privacy is a privilege you earn by being inconvenient. Mark is on the couch, controller in hand. Hey, I say, trying to keep my voice level. Did you use my info for anything? He doesn't look up. What? No. Tessa comes out of the kitchen, hair in a messy bun, holding a mug I bought her last Christmas. Charles, she says, too brightly. You're here late. I see a stack of mail on the counter, some opened, some not, and my name is on more than one envelope. I don't confront them. Not yet. I just smile like nothing is wrong and ask for a pen. Because I know this. If I accuse without proof, Diane will turn it into a tragedy where I'm the villain. So I start copying account numbers into my phone while they talk over me. And then I spot my signature on a document I never signed. The next morning, I don't say good morning in the group chat. I say, I'm not sending anyone money until I fix my credit. Silence. Then Diane calls like she's responding to a fire alarm. Charles, she says, voice already trembling. What is this drama? It's not drama. There's a loan in my name. Oh my God, she sighs, heavy and offended. Why are you accusing your own family? I'm not accusing. I'm telling you what I found. Mark grabs the phone on her end. He must be there, because his voice comes in loud and smug. Bro, you always think you're smarter than everybody. Did you sign my name? I ask. You're seriously doing this? Tessa cuts in, soft but sharp. We're all stressed, and you're making it worse. I keep my voice even, the way I do with angry patients' relatives. I need the truth, and I'm not paying anything I didn't agree to. Diane's tone flips, sweet to steel and half a breath. So you're going to let your mother drown over paperwork? Diane, I say. I haven't called her by her name in years. I'm done being your safety net. There's a pause, like the whole house inhales. Then she says the line that turns my stomach to ice. If you're not going to be helpful, you can disappear for a while. Mark laughs, like she's just told a funny story. Yeah, take your little screenshots and go. Tessa doesn't laugh. She just adds, maybe don't come to Sunday dinner. It'll be tense. Sunday dinner is our ritual. Diane's roast chicken, Mark's loud opinions, Tessa's apologies for being late. The only place I'm allowed to exist is the place where I'm useful. I swallow hard. Okay, I say. I won't come. Diane softens instantly, like she's proud of herself for setting a boundary. Good, she says. Take some time. You're clearly overwhelmed. When the call ends, my hands are steady for the first time in days. Not because I feel calm, because something inside me finally stops begging them to love me right. I walk to my mailbox and find a small white envelope marked certified mail, signature required. It's addressed to me, but the return address is a courthouse. I pick up the certified envelope at the post office after work. The clerk scans the label, slides it over, and asks for my ID like this is normal. Inside is a summons. BrightPath Lending is suing Charles H. for non-payment. Court date, March 10th, 2026. My stomach drops so hard I feel it in my knees. In my car, I don't cry. I do what I always do when something is falling apart. I make a list. Freeze credit. Get full loan application. Document everything. Talk to someone who understands this better than Google does. The next morning, I take an early lunch and walk into my credit union. I ask for a fraud specialist, and a woman with silver-streaked hair and calm eyes invites me into her office. Ms. Patel, she says, extending a hand. Tell me what's happening. I lay out the letter, the screenshots, the credit report. I keep my voice flat on purpose. Emotion is how people derail you. She reads quietly, then nods once. Okay. First, you're going to protect your accounts today. Can you just remove the loan? I ask, hating how small my voice sounds. She shakes her head. Not that simple. But you can prove it wasn't you. We start a fraud affidavit. We put alerts on your profile. And you file a police report, because lenders take that seriously. A police report against my family? The words taste like metal. Ms. Patel doesn't flinch. Against whoever used your identity. You don't have to name anyone to start the process. She helps me freeze my credit, change every password, set up a new account number for my direct deposit. She prints a checklist and circles deadlines in pen. Then she says, now we need the loan packet. Application, signature, phone number, IP address, anything that ties it to the person who did it. That night, I request the packet from BrightPath and pull 3 months of my own statements. I match dates. I note times. I screenshot every text where Diane or Tessa mentions handling paperwork, or just sign this real quick. At 11:47 p.m., BrightPath emails me a PDF titled application_copy. On the last page is a digital signature that looks like mine and a contact number I know by heart. The listed contact number matches my mother's cell, down to the last digit. I don't call Diane. I don't text her the screenshot like a grenade. I do what Ms. Patel tells me. I widen the lens. I pull my full credit file, not just the quick score. When it loads, the page is longer than it should be. There's the BrightPath loan, but there's also a retail card I opened last summer. Limit $1,500, never paid. And a utility account from 2 years ago tied to an address in Diane's zip code. I whisper, this is a system. At work, I keep my face neutral while my phone lights up with family noise. Tessa, can you watch Milo Saturday? Mark, need your insurance card pic. Mine got lost. The second text hits me like a flashback. Mark has asked for my insurance card before. Diane has asked for a quick photo of your license before. Always with some harmless reason. I open my email and search my sent folder for license. There it is, April 3rd, 2024. Subject, for the landlord. I sent Diane a scan of my driver's license because she said Mark couldn't find his, and they just need something for the file. I didn't just give them help. I handed them tools. I called BrightPath as customer service from my lunch break. The rep reads from the application. Employer listed, City Hospital. Annual income, $78,000. That's not my income, I say softly. Mailing address is in Westbrook. Westbrook is Diane's suburb. I get the rep to email the full packet again, including the uploaded documents. When I open it at night, my throat tightens. A photo of my driver's license. A photo of my social security card. I never keep my social security card in my wallet. But I know exactly where Diane keeps important papers. The shoebox on the top shelf of her closet, wrapped in a scarf like it's sacred. I used to grab it for her when she needed the files. Now I understand why she always asked me to fetch them instead of doing it herself. The packet lists the device used, and it says, Diane iPad. I think I'm chasing a number, $9, $700, a few late fees, some bruised pride. Then my work email pings with a subject line that makes my vision narrow, wage verification request. It's from HR. Charles, the message says, a lender contacted us regarding your employment. Please stop by. BrightPath didn't just touch my credit. They reached into my workplace, the one place I built without my family's fingerprints. In the hallway outside HR, my badge feels heavier than usual. HR is polite. The rep slides a printed fax across the desk. Do you recognize this? She asks. It's the BrightPath application, my name, my hospital listed as employer, a signature that looks like mine if you squint. We can't share much, she says, but if there's identity fraud, you should document it. Lenders sometimes pursue wage garnishment if a judgment happens. Wage garnishment. The phrase lands like a cold hand on my spine. My landlord calls next. Lease renewal next month, he says. We run a credit check. I hang up and stare at my computer screen without seeing it. If my credit tanks, I lose my apartment. If my paycheck gets hit, I miss rent. If HR thinks I'm financially unstable, that promotion I've been grinding for evaporates. All because my family decided my name was community property. That night, I sit at my kitchen table and open a folder labeled evidence. Screenshots of texts, PDFs of applications, a copy of the summons. I start a timeline like I'm building a case for someone else. Ms. Patel calls to check in. Remember, she says, calm as gravity, your job is not to protect their feelings. Your job is to protect your life. I swallow. If I file a report, it could come back on them. It will, she says gently. That's what accountability looks like. I picture Diane's face when the consequences arrive through the mail. No warning, no argument, just official ink. Part of me aches. Part of me breathes. Then another email lands, even shorter than the last. HR, please meet with us tomorrow at 8 a.m. At 7:58 a.m., I sit outside HR with a folder on my lap and my practiced calm face. Inside, I keep it simple. This is identity theft, I say. Here's my documentation. Here's the fraud hold from my credit union. Here's the court summons. HR doesn't lecture me. They add a note to my file, confirm my direct deposit switch is processed, and hand me a form to document external financial disputes. It feels humiliating, but it's also armor. During lunch, I meet Ms. Patel again. She prints the fraud affidavit and walks me through it like instructions. Dates, she says. Amounts. How you discovered it. I answer like I'm narrating someone else's life. March 14th, 2025, $800 loan to my sister. February 2nd, 2026, BrightPath account opened. February 25th, first delinquency notice. She nods. Good. Plain facts. After work, I file a police report online, hands steady on the keyboard. I don't name Diane. I don't name Mark. I write, suspected family members had access to my documents. The confirmation page gives me a case number that looks too small to carry what it means. Then I send certified letters, one to BrightPath disputing the debt and demanding the original application and verification, one to the credit bureaus attaching the affidavit and police report number. Ms. Patel has a template. All I do is fill in blanks with my pain. I change every password. I turn on two-factor authentication. I move my social security card out of the shoebox location in my memory and into a lockbox in my apartment. I draft one last piece of paper, a boundary. I will not discuss money or documents verbally. Everything goes in writing. It's the most adult sentence I've ever written, and it makes me feel 12. At 9:11 p.m., Tessa texts, Mom's really sad. Can you come Sunday? Just be normal. Mark follows. Bring your laptop if you come. We need to print stuff. I stare at those messages, at how quickly they slide back into using me like the loan never happened. I don't reply. I screenshot them into my evidence folder. And I decide I'm going to that dinner, not to fight, just to listen. Because if they think I'm gone, they'll get careless. Diane adds, I'm counting on you, Charles, like you always are. Diane opens the door with a hug that lasts 1 second too long. There he is, she says loudly, like she's proving something to the room. My boy. Tessa is already at the table. Mark lounges in a chair like a king waiting for tribute. I sit and scan the counter for folders with my name. Diane brings out chicken, then brings out kindness. Work treating you okay? She asks. I'm fine, I say. Tessa jumps in, eyes shiny. Mom's been so stressed, Charles. She barely sleeps. Mark snorts. Yeah, because you're doing this detective thing. Diane's smile tightens. We just want our family back. I take a slow sip of water. I want the truth. The table goes quiet in that way families do when the wrong topic touches the air. Diane sets her fork down carefully. Honey, you're spiraling. You saw some papers and you assumed the worst. I didn't assume, I say. Bright Path listed your phone number. Tessa's face flickers. Panic, then performance. Mom probably put her number because she's better at answering calls. Mark leans forward, elbows on the table. You could fix this in 10 minutes if you wanted. How? Pay it, he says, like it's obvious. Or call and tell them it's fine. You're making us look bad. Us. The word lands like a confession. Diane reaches across the table and puts her hand on mine. Her palm is warm. Her grip is not. Charles, she whispers, we're family. Families don't do police reports. I pull my hand back gently. Families don't steal identities either. Mark's chair scrapes. Careful. My pulse jumps, but my voice stays flat. I'm being careful. That's the point. Diane exhales dramatically, then softens again, switching tactics like channels. Okay, she says. If you need reassurance, we can handle it together. We already talked to Bright Path. My stomach twists. You talked to them? Yes, she says quickly. They said we just need to sign a few things to clear up the confusion. She returns with a folder and slides it in front of me. On the top page, highlighted in yellow, is a line that reads, Borrower acknowledges responsibility for the debt. And there's a pin placed right where my hand naturally falls. I don't sign the paper. I close the folder, slide it back, and stand up. I'm not acknowledging a debt that isn't mine. Diane's face crumples like I slapped her. So you're really doing this? I'm protecting myself, I say, and I walk out before my voice shakes. Outside, the air is cold enough to make my eyes water. I tell myself it's the weather. By Monday afternoon, the consequences start arriving the way Ms. Patel promised they would, through other people. First, I get an alert from the credit bureau app. Application blocked, frozen file. Someone tries to open a line of credit at 10:22 a.m. The listed phone number is Diane's. The listed address is Westbrook. I screenshot it. Add it to evidence. 10 minutes later, Diane calls. I let it ring out. She texts, what did you do? Then, my bank says there's a fraud alert on your name. Then, you need to fix this before your brother's car gets repossessed. Mark follows with a voice note. His tone is all swagger until it isn't. Dude, answer. You're messing with real stuff. Mom's freaking out. Just tell them it's a mistake. Tessa tries a different angle. Milo keeps asking why Uncle Charles isn't coming around. Please don't blow up our family. I want to reply. I want to explain that they blew it up first, that I'm standing in the crater trying not to fall in. But I know the second I talk, Diane will steer the conversation into feelings and away from facts. So I do the quiet work instead. I forward the new blocked application alert to Ms. Patel. I email HR an update with the police report number. I file an addendum with the credit bureaus attaching the new attempt. I save every text in a folder labeled Panic. That night, my phone rings from an unknown number. It rings twice, stops, then a voicemail appears. The unknown number's caller ID reads City PD, and I don't answer, not even once. Diane's voicemail is 3 words long. The police came today. Tessa calls first, voice watery. Mom said she was borrowing your credit for Mark's car. Mark texts next, tell the cops you made a mistake. Say you opened it. I don't reply. I screenshot. My evidence folder gets heavier. Diane calls from a blocked number. Why are you doing this to us? She demands. I'm responding. I say. We raised you, she snaps. I have a court date. I say. She goes quiet, then tries a new script. We can fix it. Just come to the courthouse with me tomorrow. We'll explain it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding doesn't create a digital signature from Diane iPad. I show up the next day to file my response. The courthouse hallway smells like floor cleaner and stress. I file my answer at the window, sliding the papers under glass. The clerk stamps them without looking up. My name thuds onto official record, not as a helper, but as a person defending himself. When I turn, their voices punch through the hallway noise. Across the hall, I spot them. Diane stands rigid near a vending machine, arms crossed. Mark paces, jaw tight. Tessa hovers behind them, eyes red. I keep my distance, pretending to read a notice board. Their voices carry anyway. You said he'd never find out, Mark hisses. I said it would be fine if you paid on time, Diane fires back. Tessa whispers, stop, people are watching. Mark laughs, bitter. Good. Maybe Charles will watch too. Diane's voice drops. Don't you dare blame me. You're the one who took his social security card. My breath catches. Tessa makes a small sound, like she's just learned a secret she can't hold. Mark says, too loud now, because you told me to. You told me he owes us. For a second, none of them notice me standing there. Then Diane's eyes flick up, meet mine, and her face drains of color. She takes one step toward me, lips shaping my name like a prayer. And the detective behind her says, Ma'am, we need you to answer a few questions. 2 weeks later, justice doesn't arrive with sirens or speeches. It arrives in a plain white envelope with a case number in the corner. Brightpath Lending acknowledges probable identity theft. They agree to remove the account from my credit file while they pursue the responsible party. The court clerk stamps my case dismissed without prejudice after I submit the affidavit and police report number. Nobody claps. The hallway just keeps echoing with other people's problems. At work, HR closes the wage verification note and tells me, quietly, let us know if anyone contacts you again. My supervisor doesn't mention it. I still feel exposed, like my life was briefly on a bulletin board. Ms. Patel calls with the kind of voice you use at funerals and graduations, soft, respectful. Your credit bureau's updated this morning, she says. The retail card is removed too. The utility account is under dispute. You did everything right. I sit at my desk and stare at the hospital's scheduling screen, rows of names and times. For years, I've been the one fixing other people's messes. Today, for once, a system fixes mine. My phone lights up with missed calls I don't return. Diane tries first. Please. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Tessa follows. Mom's not eating. Mark says you're ruining us. Mark sends a single line. Hope you feel like a hero. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like someone who finally stopped bleeding and noticed the floor is covered in red. Then the detective calls me back, the same calm tone as Ms. Patel, but colder. We have enough to move forward, he says. But there's a choice here. What kind of choice? I ask. Restitution and diversion, he says, or you cooperate and we press full charges. Your statement matters. I stare at the clock on my wall, the second hand clicking like a metronome. All my life, Diane taught me forgiveness was my job. Now the law is asking me if accountability is too, and I have 48 hours to tell them what I want. I spend my 48 hours the way I've spent most of my adult life, balancing other people's consequences like plates. Part of me wants to scorch the earth. Another part remembers Diane packing my lunches when I was little, kissing my forehead before night shifts, telling me, we only have each other. But I keep coming back to the same truth. She used that sentence like a key. Only it opened my wallet, not her heart. On the deadline day, I submit my statement in writing. I ask for restitution. I ask for mandated financial counseling. I ask for a no-contact condition unless it's through a third party or in writing. I don't write, I hate you. I write facts, dates, amounts, the wage verification, the summons, the blocked applications. I let the paper speak. Then I take a step I've avoided for years. I book therapy. In my first session, I say, I feel guilty. And my throat tightens like I'm confessing a crime. My therapist asks, for what? For not saving them, I admit. She doesn't argue. She just says, you've been saving them since you were 16. The sentence hits harder than any insult Mark ever throws. I change my routines. I stop driving past Diane's neighborhood just to check. I mute the family group chat, then delete it. I put my social security card in a lockbox and my piece somewhere I can reach it. When Tessa emails, because she has to now, she writes, can we talk? I reply with one line. If it's about logistics, put it in writing. No emojis. No softness. Just a boundary strong enough to hold me. A week later, a cashier's check arrives at my apartment, not from Diane, not from Mark, but from the county restitution office. Attached is a single page listing monthly payments and a compliance deadline. I stare at the check, at my own name printed cleanly, like my identity has been returned to me in ink. Then I notice something else tucked behind the paperwork, a handwritten note on torn notebook paper. It's in Diane's handwriting, and it starts with the words, "You don't understand what I did." I read Diane's note at my kitchen table with the same steadiness I used to read denial letters at work. She writes that Mark was one missed payment away from losing his car, that Tessa was panicking, that she felt trapped. She writes that she meant to pay it back before I noticed. She writes, "I was trying to keep us together." She doesn't write, "I'm sorry for using your name." She doesn't write, "I asked you." She doesn't write, "I hurt you." The closest she gets is, "You're strong. You always land on your feet." I stare at that line for a long time. Because that's the whole story, isn't it? My strength becomes their permission. I fold the note and put it back in the envelope. Not as a weapon, as a reminder. In therapy, I tell my therapist, part of me wants to explain everything to her. "And what would that change?" she asks. I think about it honestly. She'd cry. She'd say she didn't mean it. And then she'd ask me for something. My therapist nods like she's seen this movie before. "So what do you do instead?" I answer with the only thing that's ever worked. I keep it in writing. I keep it quiet. I keep it done. The restitution payments keep coming. Small, steady, official. Mark never apologizes. Tessa sends short emails that sound like someone learning a new language called responsibility. Diane stays silent. Mostly because the court requires it, but also because silence is finally a boundary she can't talk her way through. I don't tell them the steps I took. I don't list the forms, the letters, the case number, the nights I sat alone building a timeline like a life raft. They wouldn't hear it as truth anyway. They'd hear it as betrayal. What I learn is simple and brutal. Love without respect turns into a debt trap. So here's the practical part. If you're living my story in your own house, lock down your documents, check your credit, and never sign real quick without reading. If you're the family fixer, make this your rule. If it isn't in writing, it isn't real.